As the old saying goes, there are two certainties in life. Number one, death. And number two, taxes. We can't help you with death, but we've got you covered with taxes. This is Ask the Tax Attorney. As you know, the federal government doesn't play when it comes to owning taxes, but too many people freak out about it. So if you're a business owner and you're in trouble, or you're afraid you might be in trouble with the IRS, this is the show for you. Your host is a tax attorney with over 20 years of experience, and she's helped clients erase over $4 million in tax debt. So let's get to it. This is the Ask the Tax Attorney podcast. And now your host, Claudia Moncars.
Welcome to our listeners. And today I'm so excited. We have a special guest, Marina Bentata, and she's a South Florida lawyer, and she advises entrepreneurs in the areas of corporate law and intellectual property immigration. And thank you for coming here, Marina. I'm so excited that you're here. I mean, we were talking before, and listeners, we have a very interesting guest today.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you so much for having me, and I will be very happy to share with your audience whatever what my journey has been or what my experience in the U.S. and in Venezuela have been.
Yes. Yeah. Like I always say that, yes, we are attorneys, but first and foremost, we are business owners. So my first question is, can you please give me and our listeners a little bit of your story of how your business journey from going from being a employee, or like we all start being employees, and then go from being a business owner / lawyer.
Yeah. Let me only start a little bit with my story is that I'm a Venezuelan attorney, a practicing Venezuelan attorney for over 14 years, which I have held in the past. I've worked for multinational companies such as Sony Electronics, Domino's Pizza, Itochu, Societe Generale, many more, and also domestic companies such as clothes franchising and a bank. I help them with all the corporate needs, but also with the intellectual property needs. I graduated in Venezuela in 1987. I have an LLM in business law or corporate law in Venezuela. And then we decided to move in 2003 to the US. Me, my husband, and my two kids. I have a US citizen son, so he was not involved in all the process. He was back then. Mm-hmm. It was funny because he was in college while I was in law school.
Oh,
we came here
together.
I went straight to law school while he was in Princeton attending college, while I went to Nova Southeastern Law School. And I had the good luck that when I went to Nova, there was a dual program for foreign attorneys. Oh. So they credited me for a year. And then I really learned all the subjects that I needed for the bar. Took the bar, passed the bar in 2006, and got licensed in Florida. In Florida, as you say, Claudia, I worked like several years in estate planning. Then I transitioned to the corporate world. I worked with two small firms, I can say. And then I became the in-house counsel for a 500 Fortune company for almost 2 years, where I did mostly franchising for Latin America. So when I left that side of the franchising, I decided to go solo because I wanted to build a practice where I devote personalized time to my clients. Yeah. I thought that, to have like hundreds of clients, each one has a number, and what's the next didn't work for me. That's not who I am. So I decided to go solo, and have like three fields of my practice. One is the corporate, where I help the entrepreneurs create their corporations, understand what type of structure will be more suitable for their needs, and then analyze every commercial agreement that they may need. And when they grow, we feel that the business is in shape, then they can franchise the business.
Okay.
So it's sort of, it's growing with the client.
Mhm.
As I told you earlier, I have the good luck to have certain of my clients of Venezuela followed me here. And they moved here, and I still am the attorney for them, but now in the US.
Well,
So
it's
it's
kind of
really
nice to see how they even
very,
to see
it's
their
very
growth.
Yeah, it's very nice because one of them, whenever I call him and say, we have to do this, he says, yes. And I'm like, but you have to comment on that. I'm asking you, you have to tell me, what are your comments? Whatever you say. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it goes. So it's nice because we've known each other for many, many years. Then another field that I felt it was needed is immigration, because I can bring over the entrepreneur and I can help them. I forgot to tell you, I help them with the sale or the purchase of the business and the closing and all the documents that go in between. But what good do I do if I have all the corporate stuff in place and I cannot bring them because they don't have a legal status? So I started to do immigration on the family-based and employment-based. And what I was telling you right now, I really enjoy the visa called EB11, which is extraordinary ability, because you can be creative and you meet such an interesting people that have developed so many things and processes that the US can take advantage of that, especially in these times, that it's really rewarding when you get approved. I got a doctor, Venezuelan doctor, and she created the second children's ICU of one of the cities in Venezuela.
Wow.
And recently the ICU was changed the name to her name in honor her. So these are extraordinary people doing extraordinary things that are all over the world, that we should, embrace and tell them, please come, please.
Yeah. So I love how you can start with the immigration and then with their business and then the trademark and all of them just is all very like together, holistic, all in one.
Yeah. And then what I tell my clients that sometimes they forget is the intellectual property side of the business. The brand of the business can become the most important asset that a company owns. Coca-Cola
is the face of the business.
Exactly. It's a presentation of the business. It's how the customer knows you. So because sometimes my clients tell me, I'm sorry. Sometimes my clients tell me, you know what? I don't have the funds now for the brand. Let's do it later. And what I tell them is, no, you cannot forget that, because the US has a very peculiar system on trademarks.
Oh, really?
That what counts, yes. It's very different from Latin America and some parts of Europe that have civil law, because in Latin America is who records first.
Okay.
If you register, you have the right over the rest of the people. But in the US is who used the trademark first. So it's a use-based system. So I tell my clients, if you already are using your brand, let's make it official. Let's register it federally so you are protected all over the United States. So I also work with as I told you, with young clients
Mhm.
that they are very creative. I love young clients. I had clients as young as 18 years old
Oh, wow.
that they come up with these apps, and I'm like, oh my God, you have to teach me how it works because I have to learn. And then I help them with the terms and conditions for the apps and for the website. It's very rewarding to see how the business develops and how they grow with the business. It's amazing.
So I
So
think that you had clients that stay with you for the whole business career and the whole like lifespan of their business, basically. Have you had
yes,
a client where you help them buy it and then sell the business?
not really, not really. I have them, not really. I either I'm on the seller side or on the buyer
Uh-huh.
side, but I don't really, because when we do the due diligence to
Uh-huh.
purchase the company, I always advise my clients to purchase the assets, not the
Yeah.
company. Comes with liabilities, and you
Mhm.
as a tax attorney, from all people, know best.
Yes.
But sometimes it's inevitable because they
Yeah.
have licenses attached to the business, and you don't want to spend a year waiting for a license. So we do a due diligence, and we work hand in hand with the accountant to
Okay.
do the tax side, or the tax attorney as yourself to do the tax side of the due diligence of the business.
Mhm.
So no, I haven't been in that situation. But one anecdote that comes to mind, Claudia, is when I interviewed for the 500 Fortune company, my prospective boss asked me, what tell me a story where you did legal work and it resulted in a commercial advantage, not a legal advantage. Don't tell me you won the case. That's not what I'm saying. So I told him, I'm going to tell you a story. And this is a client that I have here in the US right now.
Uh-huh.
They were importers of a certain product. And unfortunately, and they had a brand, registered brand, but they had another entrepreneur that was illegally importing a product that was an infringement, a copy of the product, the protected product of my client.
Mhm.
Yeah, we filed a lawsuit and we won the lawsuit. And I sat down with my client and said, look, they're going to import in 3 months, we will have the same problem. We're going to go and file a lawsuit. Let's talk with this guy and you can make him a distributor. Let's make him a distributor of the real thing, of your product.
Okay.
Let's negotiate. And my client was really upset with me. Oh, Marina, what are you saying? That I'm going to negotiate with this criminal, that it's infringing. And I said, you have to be smart. You need him on our side. Let's get him to be a distributor, and that's what happened. So I told my prospective boss, yes, I know exactly what you're saying. I know.
And I'm sure that was
So
because he already had all the distribution channels. He already had all the ideas how to distribute. So instead of selling the fake stuff, you might as well say the real stuff. And they both make
exactly,
money. Win-win.
exactly. That's a win-win situation. Exactly.
And I think it's always, especially when you like advise business owners, it's not only about the law, because I can create really cool tax structures that are so hard to and complicated to maintain. You have to think of the practical side and the non-legal side. I think, like you said, sometimes advising on practical matters and commercial matters. I think just like a commercial advantage is something that is important that we can't forget as lawyers to do as well. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. I think we have to be practical. And sometimes, just repeating to the client the law and trying to get the client to understand the law, it doesn't work. You are the one who knows the law, but you need a practical solution to the issue.
Yeah.
So
especially
that's
for business owners.
yeah. And by the way, I'm a corporate attorney and I'm not a litigator. I have never been a litigator because I believe that people are adults
Mhm.
and we can resolve our own issues. And the only real case that I had in Venezuela that we fought until the Supreme Court for over 10 years was a fraud committed by a person that filed a lawsuit as an employee of the company,
Oh,
saying,
okay.
I am an employee, I have been an employee for 30 years. And in Venezuela, you have social indemnities. If you fire someone, as in Panama, I'm sure you,
Yeah,
Claudia,
they do.
to pay them a great deal.
Yeah.
So that's the only lawsuit that I can recall that I told my client, we cannot give in, we cannot settle. We have to go all the way. And frankly, took us 10 years, but we won.
Yeah, but I think so. Yeah, a
So
lot of times when I talk to some of my corporate, and even when we're talking about the IRS, yes, you can have like a little bit more that you can save, but if you really got like a good settlement with the IRS, and even if it's just, especially when there's like some gray areas, I tell them just take it, take this, take the deal, keep going, and we'll figure out how to save some. Because sometimes even then with the government, you kind of just like, okay, if they agree on some issue that it was iffy, then you might as well just take it.
yeah, and it's it's a waste of time sometimes just to, even though if you are right, but
Emotional stress. It's stress for the
yeah,
client, I think.
no, and you know that the policy, even though the law is on your side, the policy right now in the agency, whatever we're dealing, IRS, USCIS, whatever, it's changing, and it will be difficult for you to win the issue. So sometimes I just tell the client, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, the money. So, but as I told you, sometimes you have to go and litigate all the way, because if we allow that fraud
Mhm.
if we settle with this criminal, he was a criminal committing fraud against the company, then we had a very bad precedent for the company.
Yeah.
A very bad. So that's why in this only instance, I told the company, no, let's do it all the way, that there's no other way out. But I'm usually not like that. I'm a litigator. I've never been, and I don't want to be.
Yeah.
So
So I think the best way to find a solution. And you've given us a lot of great stories about your practice. And the last question that we always end the podcast in is, do you have any, which I think you've given us some there, but so we make it more official, any legal tip that you can give our business owners, listeners, just, because like you said, especially anything that is practical / legal, that would be great.
yeah, my tip to an entrepreneur is, don't think that legal advice is so costly that you don't consider it and you come to us when you already have signed the agreement, be in the middle of the problem. You're better off consulting a tax attorney in immigration, for instance. Before you come to the States, you need a tax attorney to really take a look at what you have in your country and how it plays out here before you are in the mess. So what I tell my clients is, please do it earlier than later. Later is more costly because then you are an issue. Another thing is that solo practitioners have a more personal relationship with the client. At least It's your case, it's my case. So it's different because sometimes we have information that if you belong to a huge law firm, they don't have the time for you. And third, I will tell my client, my entrepreneurs, please don't forget about intellectual property, trademarks, copyrights, websites, terms and conditions, because they may become the more important asset that you will own in the long run. So let's do it at the beginning. And then I had a client that I told the client, please, let's register the trademark in China. And he said, why on earth I will do that if I'm distributing in the US and Latin America? And I said, because you are manufacturing in China. And if you don't register trademark in China, you may be facing a problem because somebody else will register the trademark and won't allow you to export the product. And it happened. So another very important tip
he
is
never
if
registered, so that he couldn't export the product.
then we had another solution. But if you are
You gave him the
manufacturing,
medicine, the preemptive medicine.
yeah, if you manufacture your products somewhere in the world and distribute elsewhere, register your trademark. Don't wait until somebody else register the trademark and allow you to export the products or even manufacture the products. So that's a good tip.
No, that I never heard of that one. That's a great tip, and I know that is very important to the trademark. Like I said, your brand is your face. And I had clients that they've done all the research and done all the work, and they already decided what they wanted their name to be or whatever, because they found the domain name, so they thought they were okay because they could buy a domain name. But
No.
then when they told them, you should go to a trademark lawyer. You should really, if you're really going invested in this, go somebody to trademark. And when they did the search, they couldn't trademark the name. So all that,
Exactly.
I think it's been like a year on that.
And not only that, Claudia, we had a case very long time ago. People assume that everything that it's on the internet is public. So if there is information, I can copy and paste or take the images because everything is public, right?
No.
So we had a company, an advertising company, that one of the employees got a photo from internet for an advertising campaign. It turned out that model had an exclusive agreement with a brand and a company, and she appeared on another campaign that breached that agreement, the exclusive agreement. So our client was almost had a lawsuit for damages caused to the model, because what happened is the exclusive, according to let's say the brand owner, she breached she created the exclusive image agreement that she had without knowing. She had no input in that because someone took the picture from the internet. So please don't assume things are public because they are on the internet, because they're not.
Well, Marina, thank you so much for all the legal tips. Like I said, I love doing this podcast because I love giving content out and helping and people learn. But from a selfish perspective, I also learned. I never knew about that. That you should trademark where you manufacture and export. That's a new one. I never heard that. So I'm always excited to learn.
And I can have my clients come to you so they plan ahead for tax purposes, which is very important. Even before thinking about immigrating to this country, you have to think about taxes.
Yeah. Tax touches everything. And in the US, you get the benefit of paying taxes on your worldwide income. And Rina, if somebody wants to come to you and get your advice and have all this, like, I love it how you have it like a rounded, holistic, like you can be their one trusted advisor. how can they get a hold of you? Can you let them know?
Yeah, I have my phone and my email. So my phone is 305-335-9821. And my email is B as in boy, ENTATAS as in Sam @gmail.com.
Okay.
That will be the easiest way.
Perfect. And we'll put it in the show notes and everything. And once more, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Claudia, for having me and giving me this great opportunity to talk to so many people. I hope they enjoy it and they will take advantage of what we both said.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to our podcast and listening to this video. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ask the Tax Attorney podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. And if they're in tax trouble, they will too. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.